exploring the problem space. We think that we have three segments. First of all, B2B marketplaces, the guys who actually make two parts, customers and suppliers, meet on some digital platform. Second ones are manufacturers and distributors, the guys who already have the um, product in their ownership and want to distribute across market, B2B market through internet, B2B commerce. And third would be some procurement solutions, some specialized SaaS-like procurement, platforms, more close, etc. With all those reconciliation, accounting, complex, uh, sophisticated procurement process roles, etc. So, with the next like 15 minutes, we'd like to ask a few questions to understand the problem space better. And again, it's great luck that we have you today because uh, nobody but CEO and founder can actually feel the pain and understand how it actually works and what's really needed. So let's maybe jump straightly to the point. We
Sounds good. And
know,
I think maybe before like fully hopping
sure,
in, I would also love to learn a bit more about you guys, and especially this way, I'm also then able to aiming to respond even better for the questions that you may have.
yeah, great, great. So just a few words. Dmitry already founded similar solution for African market and exited it successfully. So he's like a more experienced entrepreneur. Myself, my experience mostly in B2C e-commerce, but partially in B2B. I used to work for companies like Lacoste, Benetton, Adidas, a bit in PNG, in e-commerce, but unfortunately not in B2B space. But I'm very familiar with the technical aspects and commercial aspects of e-commerce. I
Mm.
used to lead this channel and also had experience of founding a few projects, few startups. Uh, right now, um, Flash is a project which has like maybe half a year of traction, during which we are exploring the US market in order to understand our target segment. And in order to do so, we are like interviewing the experts, market players, and we have like daily 3-5 interview. And what we discovered already, first of all, suppliers and customers, they understand basically that they already went from standard way they do transactions to online, and they kind of expect those transactions to be instant, to be customer like, which means probably instant payment, 0-day terms, something like buy now pay later, or uh, instant installments or whatever. From the other hand, in US market it's kind of settled. I mean, 30-day terms is a standard, uh, payment via just invoice is standard, and seem that uh, sometimes seem that there is no any pain point. I mean, people just used to current process. Sometimes there are like some friction in terms. I mean, suppliers don't like terms, but buyers don't like to pay instantly, and sometimes even terms are, they are not met. So we see kind of problem space here, but don't understand exactly what the pain point is and which customer segment could have this pain. That's why we keep, going, keep talking to different segments, different platforms, different parts of the market in order to feel the pain. Since as soon as we do that, within like 1 month, 1.5 months, we just create the product. Since the best thing we can do is creating a product. I mean,
Mm.
we have a tech team, financial guys, technical guys. So we have all those things, technical things settled. But the only thing we need to understand to feel the market segment, which has some pain point in this and some friction in this B2B payment, B2B
Mm.
installment, B2B financing, something within this. Well, yeah, that's basically it for now.
Okay. Sounds good. I could maybe just give a like small brief, especially what we are doing, and then I think for that, I
Sure.
think we happy to hop on your questions and kind of like then aiming to give more context. And thanks a lot for giving more background, so it helps me also to respond better, thinking about what you're after at this point of view. But yeah, I think in our case, we are B2B marketplace, or we are more about calling us like a distribution platform because we are helping many of these businesses who are either producing goods or like having services to get access for the products. And in this way, we are helping them to both source products, ordering those more efficiently, and then getting their like product information into a control. On our dynamics, we focus only in the like European brands and connect those for the European buyers, mostly due to the customs point of view, and secondly because there's a common technical language of like standards and certificates in this space. Thinking about the industry from that perspective, I would say in our industry, this industry has been quite stuck in the 1980s or 1990s. Like not much like processes have changed since then in any of things in the about buying. Most people in the buying side are still working with spreadsheets. Most people on the supply side are still working with spreadsheets. And normally, if we are talking about the payments, I would say on the brand side, brands expect to have somewhere between net 30 to net 60, even up to net 90 terms, depending on the like, negotiation power of the supplier or then the end customer, what they are dealing with. Then the distributors were normally the middle between the kind of like the brands and then the end customers are mostly in these kind of like crunch moments. Always when something happens in the market, they will continue to lose margins. Many of these companies were close to bankruptcy before the pandemic until the like supply chains got scrambled and this kind of like rebuilt at that point. And nowadays, now it's more about back and forth. So when the prices go down, they will lower the costs. When something happens on supply chains, they will increase the costs and their margins while doing it in order to get some of the like the past mistakes back. Most people use invoices. I think what you are seeing in the US markets of having the instant payments and these dynamics, I would say Europe is 5 years behind that, and I think it's a good decision to focus on the US market from that perspective. Also, the payment methods are so different between the markets. There's so different dynamics. Like, for example, Swedish companies want to have a bank Gira, this kind of specific system. Finnish companies want to have everything online through like invoicing system. German companies are using purchase orders and like paper and PDF invoices. And it's a mess in Europe, to be honest. And there's so many B2B payment startups at the moment in the market are doing like buy now, pay later. It's actually a super crowded space. I have had a bit too many, to be honest, these meetings
I
in a
see.
European market and say that, hey, we have this on a conceptual level, everything is beautiful. But then the concrete part of it is that you need to have a lot of local permissions in Europe to get kind of like B2B payments going on. Normally, people have like one markets, but in the end, most of the B2B marketplaces would need to have multiple markets available at the same time. Otherwise, they need to start building custom solutions for each market and so forth. It's kind of like what I have seen so far. I think the leader in this space is Billy in Europe. What we have seen, or they have the best technology. Then there's obviously Adyen has like B2B solution, but it's normally for the later stage B2B marketplace is only available as they have so high requirements. And then there's a huge, I would even describe a long tail of like these B2B startups of who are doing buy now, pay later and selling the concepts. And then the execution is quite question mark. And like, I don't know. I think something happened over the past 2 years because there were so many investors funding so many B2B payments layer companies and then having the ambition to implement these into your marketplaces with an idea that okay, when marketplace is using this payment layer, I'll be able to get cut from every single like order. Whereas in reality, most of the B2B marketplaces are struggling by themselves to even to get the cuts from their orders and having this like vision that okay, when you're creating supply and demand, how you can maintain the cut in the middle by providing enough services and so forth. A couple of ones have been able to make it. I think examples has been Anchor and Fair need to be a marketplace space, but that's about it. What we have seen at least.
Well, you mentioned Billy, so let
Yeah.
me ask a straight question. Why don't you have one on your checkout?
We are planning to have a Billy later, most likely. We haven't
And
decided Billy, but I know the founder as well, and we have talked about this. It's also other point why we are looking to have something like Billy, because for the B2B marketplaces, it's not just about having the buy now, pay later, but even more important aspect is that how you can manage the product liabilities, which I know, especially within technically and like regulated goods what you are working. And Billy's like expertise is uh, not just in the fintech and making the buy now pay later, but additionally managing the product risks of the goods and so forth. Why we don't have it, we just haven't had it as a priority, to be honest. Like, I think we will have it when the time is right. But at this point of view, as we are seeing ourselves more as a distribution platform than just like a transactional marketplace, our dynamics are a bit different. Our average order values are somewhere between 1 to 3,000 euros. On the larger customer side, we are not doing like transactional orders, but we are doing yearly commitments that can be anything from 100K to 2 million. So that's also a bit different, the dynamics perspective.
I see. Well, there was like kind of a bit connection gap or whatever, like some additional noise, and seemed that I misheard maybe the most important part of the conversation. You mentioned that besides this financial services, Billy also has something, so they're expert in something in content or maybe something else. Could you give some specific details on what they
Yeah.
would potentially provide you, like since maybe there is like additional value?
Yeah, so I think let me give an example of Anchor. Anchor is B2B marketplace selling goods in wholesale quantities. I think you may have seen it at some
Sure.
point. What Billy has done for Anchor is that they are not just providing the buy now, pay later functionalities, but also have built a payment layer which changes that Anchor is not becoming personally liable for the products what they are dealing with, meaning that they are like not distributing the products, but they are like a pure platform from this point of view. And as in Europe, for example, there's a lot of regulations about okay, which are the responsibilities of distributors. There's also now coming in like all of the emissions parts and also like some packaging legislation and many other things. Uh, it's semi-risky to sell online goods without seeing what you are selling or knowing whether if they have all like regulations and standards and certificates in place. And what Billy is able to do that within their payment layer, the product responsibilities doesn't transfer from the suppliers and from the brands who are selling those goods into the platform. But the brands and the distributors are still responsible of those when those are getting for the end customers. And that's mostly due to the payment layer and how they have structured it on the Billy's side.
Wow, that's the great value proposition actually. They
Yeah,
they caught you with this. I
I think
see.
it's quite nice.
Quite nice. Well, do we think it's EU market specific or US also might have something like that? To maybe know.
Uh, There may be some. I think what you would need to do is talk to somebody who is knowing US customs quite well, because then they should have the expertise to understand this. At least in Europe, this is a pretty big thing. And I think, for example, when you're building a B2B marketplace, also we have had multiple discussions with the government discussing it. Okay, what are you? Because you are the distributor, you are not also a web shop, you are not an online commerce, and then they are continuously aiming to define us. What are we? In the end, in order to get us into like saying it, okay, are we responsible of product recalls? Are we responsible of standards or mistakes in the like some instructions for usage and so forth? Which is kind of like not typical things to be in. But then if you're just doing a lot sales, the odds that you are able to get uh, odds that you are getting some of these edge cases is becoming more likely in the end.
I see. Well, coming back to Billy, I just want, sorry for digging, like trying to dig really deep, but that's super important for us to understand. Uh, I mean, I understand the part where you're trying to reduce the risk of the platform since they take responsibility for the origin of the goods somehow. That's super clear. I mean, you solving your like risk management problem, let's say. That's the first part of the product, the offer. Let's say Billy offers, but they also offer few other like values. The payment gate, they have like buy now pay later, something else. Uh, for you, I mean, as a platform owner, uh, what you define as value, as additional value, besides this risk management, what is also valuable for you, what affects your business, and maybe what comes from customer demand or maybe supplier demand for you, from your standpoint.
I mean, if I would say what is the benefits what payment layer can provide us is definitely one thing is scalability. When we will have like more and more orders, and I think we are in the timeline, kind of like soon reaching the moments where we need to start automatizing more things around order handling and many of these flows. What we have done, we have also built some things internally for those things, but especially around payments, we know that it's you quite easily end up becoming an B2B payment provider, and then you need to get the banking license in Europe at that point, and it's super messy. We have also looked about it at some points and what it would require from our side, but I would say the scalability is one part, and then there's these like nice to haves, which is like buy now pay later. I don't know. I can only talk about my or like the platform what we have been building. For us, B2B buyers have never been asking buy now, pay later as an option. They may sometime ask flexibility, meaning that okay, as we normally have net 30 terms, would we be able to get net 60? And I think with solution like Billy, we could, for example, be able to start monetizing that within a model built into the system and not having it less like manual on those occasions. And then I think second thing, which is for us, we see a lot less credit card, for example, payments than I think what normally marketplaces do see. Most of our customers transact via invoices, and that's kind of like what we are. Also, the B2B payment layer focusing especially how we can like localize the invoices, how we can have local IBANs where those monies are being transferred. Because if you don't have localized IBANs, then the customer need to pay more because they need to do like transfer outside of their country. And it's also credibility issue if we don't have localized IBANs and like these things. So, but I think like once again, I would say if you want to listen something, I would say don't try to solve European markets with a buy now pay later solution. There's way too many people. I think the ones who have been solving it has been solving it for the past 4 or 5 years. I think Hokoda is quite close also, be
Sure.
able to get like European wide and so forth. And I don't know, like there's just way too much money in this market given and way
Yeah.
too many startups solving the same situation for quite small sample size of founders, in my opinion. So.
So basically, right now you kind of saved us a few years and a few million now, I think. Well,
But I may be wrong. It's just like I'm seeing only one side of the picture. But
but that's what we appreciate. I mean, the founder's view is something unique. Well, let me just ask around two spaces where I still curious about. The first one is, some owners of B2B marketplaces, especially industrial ones, they sometimes kind of, cover these terms for the customer. Let's say they offer to supplier zero terms, uh, and they have like 30, 40 terms from customer side, but cover those terms from their cash just in order to the transaction to happen. So they kind of have the cash in their account, probably maybe even venture backed or whatever, and they want to show traction or whatever, they boost this kind of they enable this transaction to happen. uh, I don't know, maybe in your company you do so, maybe not, but the question is, if you used to do so, will you cover this gap with the, Billy or whatever the solution would be, or you will keep, investing to cover these terms for the supplier?
I mean, what's interesting opportunity for us within like payment layer that we are potentially able to accomplish negative cash flow. Because for many of the suppliers what we do work with, yeah, the first order is maybe repayments and something like this. But after that, we quite often do get into like net 30 up to net 60 terms what we have for the orders. Like, and this is like not from the time of order, but from the time of delivery. So it may be up to like 45 up to, I don't know, 75 days from the when the order is being placed. Whereas for our customers, we are normally providing net 30. And if we would find a way to monetize even more, that for example, that our standard would be, for example, net 10 or something like this, and then the buyers would have an even like option to extend that into net 30 with additional cost, it would be mean that our cash flows would be working in a way that we are getting money way before we need to actually pay those for the suppliers.
Yeah, in some markets, I mean, actually, this buy now pay later is installment, like reverse installment mechanics, which came from
Mm.
B2B to B2C first, and then Klarna and Affirm popped up. And in some markets, how it works, I myself as B2C customer, I have like a check for like $100, €100, but I don't pay like right on. I split it to like five parts, $20 each, and I have zero interest, zero cost for that. The the seller, I mean the um, supplier pays. Uh, I mean, I pay during like 6 months, but supplier pays interest to the service who provides that. And we think, if let's say we replace this cost of capital, cost of money to supplier, could it be some enabler of conversion or enabler of average ticket value? Let's say there is some customer, they have 10,000 euro average order, like order for 10,000 euro, and they have an option either to pay out 10,000 within 30 days, or uh, pay like the 200 each month during next year, 10 months, or 5 months, the 200 euro during 5 months with zero cost, because uh, the supplier gets instantly 90% or 95%. So supplier pays those 5% for. It's kind of messy the way I'm trying to explain. So the
I
use
think
case,
I'm getting it.
yeah. So a supplier has an option to get money instantly, and pays, let's say, 3 to, I don't know, 5%, but gets the money instantly. But the other part, the customer don't have to pay full money, full 10,000. They pay just partially with zero cost. That's the how it would look like if we just transfer this B2C way to B2B, and we're trying to understand if there is like such a problem from two sides, customer and supplier, if there is cash flow thing.
The challenge what I'm seeing in the B2B space is that it actually may become more complex, especially the companies who don't have advanced accounting, because then they have multiple invoices or multiple like documents need to be like gotten for each single order, which is actually
Reconcile.
mean that it becomes even more expensive. And I know that's what we have. Like I think we are some example. The customers what we work with, they don't care about. They only want to get like as little information in a way that they want to have only one invoice. Even if you are sending them two invoices, they are becoming mad from that point of view.
Why
And
that?
I think because for B2B company, Normally, handling one invoice costs anywhere between 20 to 60 euros per invoice because there's always human handling those on the other side. So then, if there's more invoices, there's more work, and then the hidden part of the orders becomes more expensive, which is the invoice handling and the documentation part
Is that for supplier side or for customer side?
for customers.
I see. I see. And all right, that's actually could be something. All right, I see. And
You can check a company called TradeShift. They also have some like historical pitch decks available online. They are their main value proposition normally accounted about this point that companies have huge amount of invoices what they're handling and it's costing them money, and then they kind of like got to the like scalability by solving this by reducing the number of invoices. So it is a real problem.
I see. And do you provide something concern reconciliation? Matching those invoices to payments, etc. Inside your platform, since it goes through your platform. Is that possible?
Yeah. So one of the like the soft value props what we have, like not the main, but what is also like additional benefit is like when companies are coming to us, they can order from multiple suppliers and get only one invoice and make all of those orders for the suppliers also within one invoice. So that's one of the huge benefits.
I see. I see. Well, I think we are running out of time. If you have still a couple of minutes, uh, if not, we're done. If yes, let me ask one last question.
I have 1 to 2 minutes.
All
So
right. So, do you have overseas transaction, like abroad? I mean, not in EU, but maybe UK, US, China, and either any problem space you face in those payments and something.
we are only focusing European market at this point. So no, and yeah,
I see that.
simple answer no. But we have some deals which is kind of like similar dynamics happen. For example, if we have an entity in Finland and then we have for example, supplier in Germany and we have an entity also in Germany, and then if we are selling something from Netherlands, so in those occasions we can put these complexities in place where the money doesn't transfer in a language. Normally, we want to localize all of the payments.
Yeah, everything is clear, Dmitry. We're done.
Yeah, one more question. Can you say, please, when some clients, some buyers come to your platform to buy some goods from your sellers, how do you deal them? Because you are providing them any terms, 30 days, 60 days, and etc. You provide any liquidity for them. Do you make any scoring? Do you make any due diligence? Right?
It depends on the country. In Germany, for example, there is no real risk of companies to not being able to pay. In Finland, for example, we are doing some like credit checks for the companies. Uh, we need to do also that on a more scalable manner in future, but there's also companies for that. I like and simply then when the time is right for those. Most likely, I think we would even need to start looking those in Q3 or Q4 this year, to be honest. But yeah,
What's the proportion clients where you make a due diligence and where not?
I mean, we mostly do due diligence for only the smallest customers because those have like the highest risks, and then some industries, such as like construction and others, are more risky than others. But if we are working with manufacturing, for example, we don't normally need to do any checks.
Yeah, and my question: how do you accumulate expertise in fintech? Because this fintech area where you need to scoring, making due diligence, provide liquidity, and then to collect this money back to your company. This huge expertise in fintech area. How do you accumulate this? Or maybe have you joined any third party for this function?
At the moment, no, but we also do see that there's solutions for that. So when the time is needed for the solution, then we can just like choose one and integrate it. But I would say this is more of an issue for companies who have a small average order values than what we do have.
No, okay, got your point. And last question, what about USA market? Have you tried to get in on USA market? or do you focus on just the European one?
No, US. We started in the US initially, but we had student visas on those days, so we weren't allowed to do any business on those times.
Why did you choose Europe to focus on and not US?
Because we had a student visas. If you are doing business with a student visa, you will get a 10-year ban into US. We didn't want to take it.
Okay, thank
Clear.
you.
Thanks
Yeah.
a lot. Sorry for being a bit late, but that's really appreciated.
Yeah, thank
Wonderful.
you.
And
Yeah,
hopefully there
huge
was
impact.
something that was able to help you with most of all. And most of all, glad to know other founders building in the same space, different solutions. So wishing
Yeah.
also you all the best while building the company further.
You are example to follow, so we'll proceed. Thank you. We'll keep you
Wonderful.
posted.
Thank you.
That's
Thank
good.
you.
All the best. Thank you. Bye-bye.
All the best. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Good. Так, ну есть что? Value какой-то?
Сейчас я няню отпущу, секундочку.
Давай.